Now this is the Xiaomi Mi A2, and funnily enough, it matches the color of my background. And this is going to be the full review. So who here likes Android One? Hit that like button. Nah, I'm not going to make you do that. That's kind of cheap because everybody likes Android One. So I'm sure everyone is super excited over Android One Xiaomi phones, and the Mi A2 here is actually a decent phone with one big exception, of course, and I'm sure many of you who are longtime subscribers will know exactly what that exception is. But before we get there, let's go through the phone step by step very, very quickly. So first we have the build quality of the Xiaomi Mi A2. I got the blue version. I like the blue version a lot. I know a lot of my friends who got other Xiaomi phones like the Redmi, they wanted the blue version, which is unfortunately not in stock. But I got it and I'm pretty happy, and a lot of my friends think this is the nicest color out of all of them. As you can see, there's a gold and I think a black or a gray, and then blue version. I like the blue version the best, and it also matches the color of my background, which will probably make this a little bit difficult to watch because it kind of blends in. Look at that. Actually, not really, because it's a metallic. So anyway, yeah, the back is metal. You have your two rubber antenna bands. It looks like a pretty nice phone actually, but it does look like a very generic Xiaomi phone. There's really not much that stands out about it, except for the logo here. It says Android One, which is very, very nice because you do get an Android One software. And one big caveat with the build quality here is the camera module. It sticks out like a ton. You're talking like 4 millimeters. It's sticking out like 4 millimeters, which is very annoying. It means if you put it on the ground like this without a case, it'll start wobbling. So it'll wobble kind of like this, which is very annoying, and sometimes it gets on your nerves. But if you put on a case, it actually doesn't get much better, but it gets a little bit better because the case also has kind of like a cutout for the actual camera modules to protect it. So that can be kind of annoying sometimes. Yes. Now, the phone itself is thin. It's easy to hold in the hand. I like it quite a bit. Now, the blue version has a white front instead of the black front that you see here. I don't know how I feel about that. Usually I've always gone with black fronts because black fronts make the bezels look a little bit smaller. But it doesn't really matter. I'm going to turn the phone on and you'll see that it actually looks pretty decent. So you can see that the bezels here are not bad at all. Top and bottom bezels are a tiny bit big compared to other modern phones in the same price range, in the same specification range. Like the Smart Note Pro 2 has significantly shorter top and bottom bezels. And even the side bezels also are a little bit smaller on the Smartisan than what you find on the Xiaomi Mi A2, which is not going to be an issue. It's just going to make the phone bigger than it has to be, and it already has a little bit of trouble fitting into my stretchy jeans because when I sit down, this portion pretty much nudges up against my hip bone, and it kind of hurts sometimes. So, but bezel-wise, it's fine, and it's mostly okay. So I've already gone over a little bit what the display looks like in the previous unboxing video, and just to reiterate, the display here is adequate, but it definitely isn't the best I've seen. I've actually seen a lot better displays in a lot cheaper phones than this. The display here doesn't get super bright. The color saturation isn't super amazing. It's good enough, and the dynamic range and contrast rather is also it's not amazing. As you can see here, it's a tiny bit hard to see. It's a lot easier in real life, obviously, but on camera, it's a lot harder to see, and this doesn't really happen on many other Chinese smartphones. Even cheaper ones that are like $100, they still have pretty decent displays. I think the Redmi 5A, that one has, I think, at least as good, if not a better display than what this has, or the Redmi 5, sorry, which is actually fairly surprising. So, the display here will satisfy most people, I think. It just won't be very good. So if you're a person who is all about the display, this is probably not the phone for you because the display here is not amazing, but it is adequate for most people. So let's take a little bit of time to talk about the audio here. The audio is super duper loud. I think it's the loudest Xiaomi phone I've owned in quite a while. The quality, though, I will say that there is not a lot of bass. The clarity is not bad, but it's not super crystal clear like my Smart Note Pro 2. To be fair, I am super spoiled with the audio on the Smart Note Pro 2 compared to this. So anything that's less than that is going to receive a, quote unquote, a bad score. But I'm trying to be, as kind as I can to the audio here, just because of how good an experience I ordinarily have. The audio here is fine. It won't blow your socks off in terms of quality, but it will blow your socks off in terms of audio volume, which I will not show you in this video, the volume at least, because my microphone can't take the maximum volume here. So I'll just show you the quality part. So I hope you enjoyed that little sound clip, and moving on to the battery life. This is the big sticking point for me, the battery life. You have a 3000 milliamp hour battery combined with an Snapdragon 660, which is not the best combination because 3000 really isn't that much. And I'll show you my screenshots for the battery life that I got, and it's not a good sign, at least for those people who like battery life. That was the wrong screenshot. That was a pizza. Anyway, so looking at the battery life here, as you can see, this is my first day, or no, I think it was my second day. So you can see I got 3 hours and 37 minutes of battery life and 26% left. This wasn't super heavy use, it was around medium use, so not great. Moving on to the next one. Next day, this one was 14% left and 4 hours and 5 minutes. So you're looking at a trend of maybe around 5 hours to 0% left maximum. Next screenshot, what do we have here? That's the wrong one. And next one here, we have 26%, around 3 hours and 20 minutes. Here we have 3 hours and 39 minutes and 7% left. This was heavier use. And finally, here we have 39% left and an hour and 2 minutes. So you can see that the battery life here hovers around a maximum of 5 hours, but in reality, I got less than that. I got around 4 hours, and you can reliably expect about 4 hours before you have to start charging again at home, which for some people is enough, but for me it is far from enough. I need something like 6-7 hours minimum, which is almost double what this provides. So this is not going to be my daily driver just for this reason, but I'll talk about the rest of the phone and let you guys make a decision about whether or not you would like to buy this phone. And of course, you do have quick charge in the USB-C port here, and that's about it. And here we have Android 8.1 Oreo. It's Android 1, no problem at all. The stock launcher is super smooth. Just look at how smooth it is. It's really not bad. Even swiping left and right to Google Google Now is very nice and smooth, and it's just a very, very good experience. And the other thing I experienced in other phones was when I tapped here. When I tapped on OK Google, it was not instant like this, which is kind of annoying. It would lag for like 3-4 seconds, which is annoying, but yeah. So software is very well optimized. Let's look at multitasking. This one is a 4GB, 32GB version of the phone, which is not the best, and I'll talk about why. So multitasking though is fine. Multitasking, you're looking at 4GB of RAM, and it's perfectly serviceable for most, if not all people. So there's really no problem with that. I'm able to multitask very effectively, and I don't have any complaints about the multitasking here. What I do have a complaint about is going to be the storage. There's like no space left. I store manga, I also store videos, and as you can see, I'm at 23GB of space, and that's after deleting all the videos. So all I have here is manga, which is very annoying. 32GB is not enough for a lot of people. You know, for some people it might be enough, but for most people, 32 gigs is not enough. And that's going to be a sticking point because the cheapest version of the Mi A2 is 32GB. I think you have to pay like an extra $30-40 for the 64GB version, and that can be an issue. Moving on to the fingerprint sensor, it's super fast. 1, 2, 3. That was pretty much instant, no problem at all, and it's very accurate. It works even when my fingerprint is wet. So no complaints about the fingerprint sensor. It works very, very well. All right, and here we have PUBG on the Xiaomi Mi A2, and I think I landed in the middle of nowhere. I was supposed to land near a town, but I missed as I was hitting the record button, which means that the town is all the way over there, which means that I will have to Run, sprint to the town so you can see what it looks like. But this is on medium settings on the Xiaomi Mi A2 with a resolution of 2160 by 1080. As you can see, the performance is actually fine. Not the resolution, the frame rate is fairly smooth. I don't see a lot of stutter. I do see a little bit of stutter, so there is a little bit of stutter. And let's go inside, and as you can see, there's really not that much stutter, which is fine because the Snapdragon 660, while it's not the most powerful chip, it is powerful enough for you to start playing a little bit of PUBG if you want. I'm super bad at this game, so I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to walk around while not wearing any clothes or having any ammo, just to show you what the frame rate is going to be like. And as you can see, it's definitely more than enough for a playable match, a competitive match even, so there's really no trouble with that. You can even turn down the settings to low if you would like. You don't really have to, but you can if you want to, and that is an option if you want to play competitively. So you can play PUBG. It's not the best experience. Well, again, it is on mobile, so there's that to be aware of, but on mobile, it's fine. So let's talk quickly about network connectivity. This has network bands or LTE bands 1, 2, 4, 5, and 8, which means that it is compatible on AT&T and T-Mo, but do be sure to check your area to make sure you do have those network bands in here. Up in Canada, it works completely on Rogers and Bell, but I'm not sure about TELUS, so do be careful about that. And of course, no wind either. Speeds are good. Reception on 3G LTE or 3G 4G LTE is good. Wi-Fi is not bad, but I've seen better. And the reason is because at my office, I do get reception on my Smartisan, but not on this in terms of Wi-Fi, which means that the Wi-Fi chip in here is not as powerful as it should be. I think Xiaomi skimped a little bit because this is a cheaper phone. It's like $260, $250, which is very, very cheap for a Snapdragon 660. So I think the Wi-Fi chip is a little bit lower quality on this. The GPS, though, is perfectly fine. No problems with that. I can navigate, no problem. It's accurate as well. Bluetooth works fine. There is no NFC, even though I did install Google Pay right there. Talking about the camera a little bit, I already did a full camera review, in-depth camera review, and I'm very satisfied with the camera. I will talk and recap a little bit. It takes some very, very good photos. HDR is useless. Portrait mode takes some very nice bokeh mode photos. The front-facing camera is okay. It's definitely not bad, but it doesn't, blow your socks off. 4K video recording is nice. You do get very, very occasional artifacting, but that is pretty much the only problem in this. And of course, there is no OIS, which I think some people will be sad about. I don't think it's a deal breaker. It might be for you, but for me, I'm fine with no OIS. So what are my thoughts on the Xiaomi Mi A2? This is a very, very cheap phone. I think in terms of specifications, if you want maximum value, it's either this, the Mi A2 for $260, $250 with a Snapdragon 660, or the Redmi Note 5 for I think $170, $180 for the Snapdragon 636. And the advantages this has is that it's Android One and it's faster. To be honest, I would much rather have the specifications of the Redmi Note 5 instead of this. But I do love Android One. Like, my next phone is going to be an Android One. I won't be using this as my daily driver because the battery life is just not good enough. But the rest of the phone is good enough for me. It's just really too bad about the battery life because that was the only sticking point. And if the battery life on this was good, at $260, this would have been the best buy. It still is a great buy. It's definitely the cheapest phone you can get with Android One and very fast CPU, SoC, and decent specifications, all for $250, $260. So be sure to hit like and subscribe. Be sure to hit that little notification bell to make sure you're notified of any of the latest videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.